And welcome, everybody. It may be 2011, but all political eyes are on 2012 as we wait to see who on the Republican side gets into the presidential fray and when exactly. I wish they'd hurry up. I'm trying to make vacation plans. Well, here's the way the Brody Files sees it. You probably have some sort of evangelical primary. Potential candidates include maybe John Thune, Mike Huckabee, Rick Santorum, Sarah Palin, Mike Pence, not in any particular order. Then there's the businessman primary, if you will. Possible candidates like Tim Pawlenty, Mitt Romney, Mitch Daniels, Haley Barbour, Rick Perry, and of course Newt Gingrich. A lot of political elephants in the mosh pit, and here to break it down, Rick Klein, senior Washington editor with ABC News, and well, I can't confirm this. You've been known to dive into a mosh pit, I understand. We'll talk about that later.
That, right?
No video of that at all. YouTube, I understand, though. Also here, Major Garrett, congressional correspondent for National Journal and cover the White House for Fox News, plus someone who loves a good mosh pit once in a while.
Absolutely.
All right,
I
guys.
recommend them highly.
Thanks so much for being here.
Good to be here.
Rick, let me just start with you, a free-for-all. I mean, this thing, who knows where this thing is going? What's your sense off the top?
You know, you're exactly right. And the way you broke it down is interesting. There will be these separate primaries, but of course they actually play out at the same time. Right. So one of the dynamics to watch is how many from Category A, how many from Category B, how many from maybe another category people we're not even thinking about actually get into this race, because there's a lot of cross currents. They cut into each other's support in various ways. But right now we're in a stage where, look, President Obama clearly has political vulnerabilities. There were a lot of Republicans who, if President Obama looked unbeatable, would sit this one out, maybe wait for the next cycle. He is not in that position now. So you get any Republican, really, who's ever thought about running for president saying, look, I could do this.
The thing that strikes me most about this is there is, unlike previous Republican nomination battles, no clear frontrunner. I don't think you can describe anyone, oh, yeah, that person's got all the organization, the money, and the establishment behind them. Those kinds of decisions haven't been made and possibly won't be made. The other thing is this campaign is starting later but will last longer, and that's because of the way Republicans, for the first time, are going to apportion delegates. No more winner-take-all until April 1st. What that means is everyone's going to get some delegates in the early races, which means it's going to go on for a long time. So you're going to have organization nationwide.
Interesting. All right. Well, here at the Brody File, we have what we like to call the full body scanner, courtesy, I guess, of TSA. Don't worry, no pictures, no images, no MRIs or any of that. But let's start with Mitt Romney. Let's put him through the full body scanner. I mean, it's got to start with health care. You know, it seems like in 2008, Mormonism was the issue. Health care seems to be his 2012 issue, or at least one of them.
That's what Republicans talk about more than anything else. I think you look at all the candidates. Mitt Romney almost never stopped running for president. He took his 08 organization and he rolled it right through. He kept a lot of key people on board, and he's got the gang back to run in 2012. Healthcare has taken on, though, a different role than it ever has before. This was something, what he did in Massachusetts was something he could brag about in 2008. 2012 is going to be a different story. We've seen how unpopular the Obama healthcare law is. There are similarities, undeniable similarities between what he did in the state of Massachusetts and what President Obama did nationally. Those are things he's going to have to explain away, maybe massage around to try to draw the distinctions between the other candidates, but not be seen as the person who essentially gave Barack Obama the idea for national health care.
The problem in Massachusetts is coverage has become universal, but costs have exploded, far beyond anyone's projections, and that's a very difficult thing for Mitt Romney to explain.
Let me move on to Sarah Palin real quick. I mean, you know, do we have 74 hours to talk about her? I mean, my goodness. What is your sense about Palin? I guess, A, do you think she's going to get in? And if she does, I mean, she's got a boatload of baggage.
And there's an electability question that I think is going to play itself out in the primary. Primary voters are going to be saying not just who do we want to be president, but who can actually win the presidency. That's something she has to overcome. She's vastly unpopular with the general population, even a lot of Republican primary voters, and she'd have to overcome the skepticism about the fact that she left the Alaska governor's office early, and generally her positions, her behavior, all of those things add to a case that is easy to make against her.
Meanwhile, Major, we wait for the tweet. I mean, you know, I mean, this is Wasilla politics. I mean, she sits in the living room and she's tweeting and posting on Facebook. I mean, when does it come to a lecture series or a few white papers here?
She dominates social media, but can she dominate a prolonged electoral campaign where you have to give up control? As we both know, we use Twitter. You're in total control. What Sarah Palin has to do is give up control. She's never done that in her political career.
Let me move on to Newt Gingrich real quick. Obviously, some personal issues that Gingrich had with his past marriages, moral lapses, if you will. I did ask him about this. What about your critics and the media who will want to have a field day and go back to the 90s and drum up a lot of stuff that was there at the time, from your critics' perspective. And the media will try to have a field day with some of that stuff. Is that play into your equation at all?
No, I don't worry about that very much. I think what people are going to worry about is how big are the challenges? Who has solutions as big as the challenges? And who do you trust to get things done? I think when you look, for example, at the fact that we did, in fact, balance the budget for 4 straight years, that we controlled spending to 2.9% a year, the lowest rate since Calvin Coolidge in the 1920s, that we were able to pass welfare reform and have members of both parties. Half the Democrats voted with us for welfare reform. So it was a very bipartisan initiative. I think if voters decide that's the future, then you have a very, very different conversation than the normal, personal ambition stuff.
Major, he was somewhat laying out the case as to why he should be president. I mean, he was pretty much doing it right there. He seems to be possibly position himself as the big thinker, especially as it comes to the debates and on the stage and run laps around some of these guys.
There's a caricature of Newt that he's only toying with this just to continue to keep his name in the game. I don't think he's toying with it at all. I think he is fundamentally very serious about running. He is sending out emissaries in all the early primary and caucus states. He has people running through Iowa, South Carolina, Nevada, New Hampshire. He is assessing the ground. I think Newt Gingrich's far deeper problem among Republican base voters is not his past personally, but his performance as Speaker. It was very uneven, extremely uneven. And from a leadership perspective, tremendous generator of ideas, but a very difficult time executing those ideas.